You ever notice how two people can go through the exact same event and walk away with totally different memories of what happened? Same facts, same moment, but one remembers it as proof they're capable and the other remembers it as proof they're not enough. Why does that happen? And more importantly, how do you start shaping what your mind keeps and what it lets go of? Today, I want to unpack something both neuroscience and emotional training agree on, that it's not the event itself that defines you. It's the emotional state you attach to it. Because here's the thing, emotion doesn't just color experience. Emotion cements it. It's what locks a passing thought into a belief your system treats as fact. And now even science is catching up to that. In 2025, a neuroscience team studying memory and emotion discovered something fascinating. That it's not just emotion that determines what we hold onto. It's what we intend to remember. And that finding adds a powerful layer to how we understand emotional training. Researchers showed people a series of words on a screen, some completely neutral like chair or window, and others emotionally charged like death, love, or pain. Then, right after each word appeared, a quick instruction flashed. Either remember this word or forget this word. So, for example, someone might see love and be told to forget it, then see chair and be told to remember it. Later, even after a full night's sleep, participants recalled far more of the words they'd been told to remember, even when those words were totally ordinary. In other words, the brain prioritized what it was directed to remember, not necessarily what carried the strongest emotion. The emotional words did have some influence. They were more vivid, but they also produced more mistakes. People sometimes remembered emotional words that were never shown at all. So what the study really revealed is this. Emotion grabs attention, but intention decides what your brain keeps and reinforces. Here's where this lines up with what we train in inner work. The study shows that intention directs memory. That's what your mind decides is important. But emotion is what decides how deeply that memory gets wired in. It's the difference between a note written in pencil and one carved into stone. That's why when something happens and you feel a strong emotion, your brain flags it as significant. It doesn't check if it's true, it just checks if it's charged. So if you think, I'm not good enough, and it carries shame or fear, your system encodes it as truth. If you think, I can handle this, and you pair it with calm or certainty, your system encodes that as truth instead. Emotion decides what gets stored as belief. Most people never realize they're training that loop all day long. You think something, you feel something, you repeat it. That repetition becomes conditioning. And soon you don't even need the thought anymore. The emotion alone reactivates the whole pattern. You wake up anxious without knowing why, or you feel small before you even speak. That's your nervous system replaying emotional memory, not current reality. The mind interprets emotion as evidence. So if you feel unworthy, it assumes I must be unworthy. If you feel confident, it assumes I must be capable. That's how emotion cements thought into belief. Neuroscience calls this Hebbian learning. Neurons that fire together, wire together. But there's another piece most people miss. Emotion acts as the amplifier. It tells the brain, this matters, store it. That's why the study's participants remembered words they intended to recall, because that intention created subtle emotional engagement. See, intention isn't just mental, it's embodied. When you decide something matters, you feel a quiet focus, a little charge. That emotional signal is what flags the memory as important. So the deeper truth behind the study isn't emotion doesn't matter, it's that untrained emotion creates noise, while trained emotion creates precision. That's the difference between reacting and training, between letting emotion happen to you and using emotion as a tool for alignment. If this is landing, hit subscribe. I drop videos each week to help you train your inner world with structure and clarity. Someone I worked with once kept saying, I know I'm capable, but I still freeze up when it's time to speak. They'd done mindset work. They had the right thoughts. I can do this. But those thoughts weren't connected to an emotional state that matched them. Under pressure, the old emotional pattern, fear, doubt, overrode the new thought. So their system didn't believe it yet. Once we trained them to pair the same thought with a calm, steady body state and emotional certainty, the freeze response dissolved. Why? Because the emotional signal now matched the thought. The nervous system encoded that new pairing as truth. That's belief formation, not theory, training, repetition, alignment. Here's the formula that comes out of all this. Intention chooses, emotion cements, repetition builds. If intention is the architect, emotion is the builder. And repetition is the cement that sets. That's how every belief, empowering or limiting, got created. You thought it once, you felt it strongly, and you repeated that pairing until your system stopped questioning it. That's what belief really is. A loop your nervous system has practiced so many times, it now runs automatically. So when we talk about training your inner state, we're not talking about managing emotions. We're talking about retraining which emotional pairings your system keeps rehearsing, because that's what becomes identity. Your identity is essentially a collection of emotional memories you've reinforced over time. If you repeatedly feel disappointment after effort, your system wires effort equals disappointment. Soon, just thinking about trying triggers fatigue or avoidance. If you repeatedly pair effort with curiosity or fulfillment, your system wires effort equals growth. Now, effort feels rewarding, not draining. Nothing mystical about it, just emotional conditioning. So ask yourself, what emotional state are you unconsciously reinforcing right now? Because whatever you feel most often, your system learns to expect. And whatever it expects, it starts creating more of. That's how emotion cements thought into a self-image. If you're hearing this and thinking, this sounds like me, you're not broken. You've just been training a pattern that no longer serves, and that can change. You can retrain your nervous system to respond to life from the states you choose, not the ones you inherited or repeated. That's the real work, not fixing emotion, training it. So let's circle back to that research. They found that intention, not emotion, predicted recall. But here's the deeper truth. Intention is emotional when it's real. When you decide to remember something or to become something, you're not just thinking it, you're signaling to your system, this matters. That emotional signal is what gives the thought staying power. So yes, intention shapes memory, but emotion is what cements it. That's why training isn't just mental focus or visualization. It's emotional repetition. Every time you choose calm instead of reactivity or compassion instead of judgment, you're pairing new thoughts with new chemistry. You're literally teaching your brain what kind of person you're becoming. You don't start by chasing big emotions. You start by practicing state precision. When you notice yourself spiraling, don't ask, why am I feeling this? Ask, what state am I training right now? That question redirects perception. It moves you from analysis to command. Then choose the state you want to reinforce, such as calm, certainty, appreciation. You might not feel it instantly, that's okay. You're still sending your system a new blueprint. With repetition, that pairing thought plus emotion becomes your new default. It's like re-recording over an old track. Eventually, the old ones fade. This is what it means to live by training, not reaction. Most people think beliefs are fixed, that they're just who I am. But every belief is a trained loop. You can train new ones by pairing thoughts with chosen emotions. That's how you move from unconscious reaction to conscious alignment. The study on intention and memory proves the mind can deliberately decide what to store. Your practice takes it one level deeper. You decide not just what to remember, but who you're becoming through what you reinforce. So take a moment and ask yourself, what emotional state are you practicing over and over without even realizing it? Because that's the one becoming belief. That's the one shaping how you see yourself and what you expect from life. And when you start training that consciously, everything changes. If you want to stop managing symptoms and start training a steady, resilient inner state, I've built a system for that. It integrates perception, emotion, and the nervous system, so you don't just understand your patterns, you actually shift them. The link's below. I also share short practices weekly on Instagram at Mike Wang Coaching. And if you want more depth, you can join the newsletter below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.